called A Street to Die. It's
more on Tamati Hall than Westminster. Jennifer Byrne reports.
You can tell it in the atmosphere, the air. Even if you're up at about 10,000 feet or more, you know when you're over Queensland.
At ground level, the border crossing to Queensland is nothing exotic, scarcely even noticeable.
People in other states look at us and say we're different. I go down to Sydney, Melbourne, I go to the races, you know, and people say, we'd like to have your premier down here. We even like you. Well, I think it's a definite form of government. There's no wishy-washy, you know, we'll sit on the fence and tell you some other time. You'll get your answer.
But politically, Queensland is the nation's oddity, both in style.
I find today in politics, they can't walk in a straight line. They duck under the table, around the table, hide behind cupboards and do this and do that. It's absolutely disgusting. No,
and especially personality.
No, I think that I'm such an affable, lovable, law-abiding person. People like to lumber things on me.
Maverick, dogmatic politicians, a highly disciplined party machine. Together, for 27 years, they've delivered power, and the Nationals have known how to use it. For the past 2 years, that power has been absolute, and there are accusations they've misused it. Take Oxenford and the case of the TAB sub-agency licence. Oxenford's a smallish town dominated by dairy cows and gravel quarries about an hour's drive south of Brisbane. 4 years ago, Mrs. Elsa Frith applied to the state's TAB for the sub-agency licence.
Well, we had the news agency and we thought that it would be a good service to the area and also would help us in the business, and we wrote in and asked. And then in early 82, we had a gentleman out and he had a look and he was very enthusiastic, and we were excited.
So you felt very confident?
Well, we had it. We had it. We told everybody we had it. It was on his part we had it. And we waited 6 weeks and then 8 weeks, and then I started phoning up, and then we realised there was something wrong. Well, I did, and that was it.
Did they ever say anything to you?
Really nothing, but you know how someone says nothing but they're telling you something?
And what did you...
And no names were mentioned.
What did you get from what he said? What did you think he was saying?
I couldn't get it for a while. I misunderstood, and then after it was repeated to me, I said to him, "Oh, I see. Well, I won't phone anymore. I'm sorry to have been a nuisance ringing up all the time." And that was the last time I phoned them.
Time passed. Elsa Frith became the local postmistress. Finally this year, the licence was awarded. But it went across the street to the Oxenford Tavern, owned by June Fair, the family company of one Russel Hinze, Minister for Roads. For sure, it was a fortunate company, lucky enough to have its bottle shop right in the way of a recent road diversion. Now, the Minister for Racing's lucky company had the TAB licence. Unluckily, though, when someone thought to track down the original and unsuccessful Frith application, it was found to carry a notation: political interference.
There's been so much written about it, said about it, and there's been nothing done to rectify what, if it is all true and there was political interference, is a shocking thing to a normal working family, working person. If someone in a high position can interfere in a person's life when you can't fight back on equal terms.
There's nothing been proved that I did or said anything wrong in that application. No one's proved anything.
I was disappointed. I was like a balloon that goes down at a kid's party. That's how I felt when we didn't get it. But you're sort of suspecting something, you assume something, but you're sort of hoping you're wrong, aren't you? That everybody's good and above board. You're hoping that you're wrong.
The Labor Party took a far less generous view. As far as frontbencher Wayne Goss was concerned, Queensland's omnibus minister was gone.
Mr Hinze, I believe, has 3 options: resign, resign, or resign.
Mr Hinze at first fought back, denying any interference.
They're making something out of something that doesn't exist.
Subsequently, he withdrew the June Fair application, a move which saved his substantial political hide, but did not solve the mystery. What do you think's happened?
I think that there was interference. I can't say for sure who it was, but I think we're entitled to know. And I think that there's come a time when this sort of thing has to stop, and someone has to stop it. And if it has to be stopped by having an open inquiry, why not have it?
Of course, there will be no inquiry. Inquiries just aren't this government's style. Its response to these things is to stonewall. And given the infrequency with which Parliament sits in this state, given the outright refusal of the likes of the Premier and Mr Hinze to answer questions they don't like, and given the intense secrecy which surrounds the top levels of government and the bureaucracy, well, eventually the scandal dies for lack of interest. And if it takes someone's livelihood or even just their trust with it, as has happened countless times since the Nationals came to rule, well, that's just politics, Queensland style.
Any hotel in Queensland, positioned as the Oxenford Tavern is, ordinarily it would have been approved. The TAB break their neck to get a site like that. This famous Mrs Frith, as we refer to her, makes application for a TAB licence in a post office in an area that you couldn't swing a cat. Now, you know, let's be realistic about it. It surely couldn't be regarded as a reasonable applicant.
But what about this famous notation, political interference?
Now, if it was me, it would have said ministerial decision. And political interference is not me.
Is it possible someone politically interfered?
It's possible, but what everyone in that house, there's 82 members in there, every day they come out of the house, every day the people come out of this room, they ask you to do something. Is that political interference? Or is it political representation? What's the difference? Now, the person who ever put that on the paper said political interference. It could have been one of 3 or 4 or 5 different people, but it wasn't me.
The case of Elsa Frith is unusual in that it became public, but its thrust, its testament to the exercise of power by the already powerful, is disturbingly familiar. The politicians call it free enterprise. Most observers, though, use the phrase agrarian socialism to describe the network of boards, committees and tribunals which effectively control the state's rural industries, be they dairy, sugar or grain.
You have the same people on same names popping up all the time on boards. In fact, I could almost say the whole structure of the whole thing is almost incestuous, because you have the same, well, for argument's sake, you have one fellow, head of the Milk Board, head of the Milk Entitlements Committee and head of the Pasteurisation Tribunal. And that one fellow is Sam Damani. Now, if there's some disagreement between those bodies, I mean, it's a case of Caesar judging Caesar, isn't it? The whole thing's a joke. Well, it would be if it wasn't so serious.
You're talking really about patronage, about extreme patronage.
Sure. He used to be a Liberal. He's now a national member of the National Party. And it's an unwritten law in Queensland that if you want to be appointed to a body, you have to join the party first.
The power of the regulating bodies is immense. In the dairy industry, for instance, they determine how much milk each district or dairying zone may produce, and further, how much of that white milk it may then process and bottle for sale to Brisbane, processing being the lucrative side of the industry, attracting a special 21 cents a litre bounty on each bottle sold. Jim Egan's complaint is that his main competitor, South Coast Dairy, is permitted to bottle and so earn the 21 cents bounty on 100% of the white milk it produces. His own cooperative, by contrast, may bottle only 17.5% of its milk, selling the rest to competitors, including South Coast, for it to bottle. That arrangement, Jim Egan estimates, costs his Logan and Albert cooperative $1.7 million a year. Put it into liquidation last month, and, according to Jim Egan, has a very sour taste to it.
You have the situation where people with vested interests sit on certain boards, and they had a vested interest in transferring milk away from our association. Now, you've got Alan Hollindale, who is the chairman of South Coast Dairies, who's been trying to take us over for years. He is a member of the Milk Entitlements Committee, which allocates milk to an association or away from it now. They allocated milk away from us on 2 occasions. We took them to court on 2 occasions and beat them. They did it a 3rd time, and, well, we never really had a chance to... we would have appealed against it, I'm sure, only, of course, we've gone in liquidation in the meantime.
Said Mr Hollingdale is the man Russell Hinze nominated to the chairmanship of the TAB when Sir Edward Lyons resigned earlier this year. And said Mr Hinze was 20 years chairman of directors of the company with the majority holding in South Coast Dairies. Do you feel very much that you're a small outfit up against the big boys, in a sense?
Oh, sure, yeah, there's no doubt. I don't suppose, Jenny, at any time we seriously considered or thought we could beat them. We know as well as anyone that, you know, it's a David and Goliath situation, except not too many miracles seem to happen these days.
Opposite the Hinze dairy farm at Oxenford is a park, blessed in the name of that man of miracles, St Francis of Assisi, friend of animals and birds. But the larger dedication is to Russell Hinze, whose attitude to friendship and politics encapsulates so much of the spirit of Queensland.
Well, don't you accept that that's the way that politics works throughout the world?
What, looking after friends?
No, not looking after friends, but even the Commonwealth Bank says get with the strength. Is there something wrong with that?
Do you think that different moral standards apply too? I mean, what you've said about patronage, I don't think really is...
What sort of moral standard are you talking about?
I'm talking about appointing to boards, to commissions, to you don't have inquiries, but to statutory bodies, to quongos, to things like that. I mean, does it help to be a National Party member?
Well, I would think that if you're looking around for somebody to put onto an organisation, you put somebody on you can trust. You will automatically take somebody of your own political persuasion. There's nothing wrong with that, surely.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That is not, I don't believe, an argument that would be maybe advanced in New South Wales or Victoria. Would you accept that is one of the moral differences?
I couldn't see Mr. What's his name in New South Wales, the
It'll come to you.
Premier. Well, I'll have to excuse myself here.
Ran, his name's
Mr. Ran. He wouldn't be appointing anybody to a board of from a national party or a Liberal Party. No.
All of us, the people in this state, we'd all like to know exactly what goes on behind the scenes. What goes on when we innocently apply for something and feel that it should be judged on its merits. Why